Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to today's practice. Starting in the seated position, eyes closed down, hands at heart center, setting our intention for today. Taking a couple of deep breaths here, checking in, quietening the mind, giving yourself permission to just be in this moment on the mat for yourself today. Then taking a big deep breath in. And exhaling, we're going to twist to one side, right hand on left knee, left hand behind our bottom as we take our gaze back over our back shoulder. Inhaling, exhaling to the other side. Left hand on right knee, right hand behind our bottom. Inhaling, changing sides again. Inhaling, exhaling as we twist. Sitting nice and tall. Taking the right leg, bending it over the left leg that's stretched out long. Hugging the right knee in towards the chest and turning our gaze towards the side. Should feel a nice stretch in the glute muscle here. Taking the right leg long, bending the left leg up and over and hugging the left knee in towards the chest as we look out to the left side of the body. And then crossing the right knee over the left knee, feet coming to the side of our bottom as we forward fold over the legs. Gently resting the chin on the top knee. I was a little bit tight there today, so it was very hard to get my head to my knee. And then slowly raising up, taking the left knee over the right this time. Feet are by our side, inhaling and then exhaling as we forward fold over the top. Today's practice is all about opening up and stretching around the hips and the glutes. And when I woke today, my right hip felt a little bit locked up. So today we're going to be doing lots of movement to help release any tension in our hips and our glute area. Sitting up on our heels now, toes are bent under, just taking a moment to check in. And then coming up onto our right knee, left leg goes long, left arm goes long overhead, planting down through our right hand, making sure the right wrist is under the shoulder, and then lifting the left leg off the ground, remembering to breathe through this pose. Taking the left knee down to meet the right, then coming down onto our left hand, pressing up onto our left knee, right leg goes long, right arm goes long overhead. Switching on the abs as we raise our right leg off the ground. And then bringing the knees to meet back down in tabletop position. Making sure our wrists are under our shoulders, running through 3 cat-cows, dropping our head back, taking our gaze high as we drop our belly to the earth, and then taking our gaze through our legs and curving the spine up towards the sky. And just rolling through this, connecting your breath to each transition. Inhaling, dropping the head back. Exhaling as we drop our head down and take our spine high. Tucking the toes, coming into downward facing dog, taking the hips high, and then coming into high plank, bringing the left hand in between the hands, coming into this low lunge as we raise the hands above our head. Right leg is stretched out to the back. And then dropping the right knee to the mat, untucking the toes and sinking further forward, leaning into that left leg, really feeling the stretch through the pelvis. And then coming back to sit on the heel at the back, pulling the toes back on the left leg, maybe reaching for the toes, giving that hamstring a beautiful stretch. Coming forward again. And then grabbing the right foot, the right hand, pulling the foot towards the bottom as we lean gently on our left knee. Slowly releasing the foot to the mat, kicking the left foot back to meet the right in downward facing dog. Legs are straight, hips are high, pushing the heels towards the earth. High plank, and then bringing the right foot between the hands, raising the arms above the head into this lunge position. And then dropping to the left knee, pushing the pelvis further towards the mat. And then taking the bottom to the heel, right leg is stretched out long in front now, coming down to touch the toes, giving the hamstring and the back of the knee a stretch. Coming forward again, sinking down into our low lunge. And then the left hand is going to grab the left foot, pull it towards the bottom. And on each exhalation, trying to get the foot closer and closer. Continuing to breathe in this pose, particularly to any tight spots. And then slowly lowering the foot and meeting the right foot back down with the left in downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling out the legs here if that feels good, or finding some stillness. Dropping to our knees now. Coming in for a closed legged child's pose. So knees are touching, the bottom sitting on the heels, the arms are lying by our side as our forehead rests gently on the mat. Breathing deeply into our diaphragm. And slowly coming up. Meeting in downward facing dog. Stepping the left foot between the hands, taking the arms high. We're going to run through this sequence again to really help open up the hips, stretch the legs and the glutes. Coming down into low lunge. Dropping back onto the back heel as we stretch the back of the left leg. maybe reaching for the toes if your body allows it. Otherwise you can grab part of the ankle, coming back into low lunge, and then grabbing the right foot with the right hand and pulling it towards the bottom. We're slowly releasing the foot, kicking the left leg back with the right, downward facing dog. This time bringing the right foot between the hands, raising the arms up high above the head. And dropping the back knee, coming into low lunge. And then sitting back on our heel as we lengthen the right leg, maybe touching the toe, getting a deeper stretch, back into low lunge, then grabbing the left foot with our left hand, pulling the foot towards our body. And then gently releasing and kicking the right foot back to meet the left in downward facing dog. Coming into pigeon pose now, so folding the left leg up and under the body. You can stay high here on the hands. Right leg is stretched out behind, or you can come down onto the forearms. Or feel free to get the head to the mat if you want an even deeper stretch. Remembering to breathe deeply here, especially to any tight spots. Coming back up onto the hands, tucking the toes and meeting in downward facing dog. Changing over to the other side, the right leg will fold up and under the body, left leg will go long. Pulling the body forward with the hands, or coming down onto the forearms. Taking about 3 rounds of breath here. Coming back up onto the hands now. Kicking back into downward facing dog. Walking the feet up between the hands. Just bringing the chest to rest gently on top of the thighs. Maybe hugging the knees in towards the chest. And then swan diving the hands up above the head, bringing our hands to heart center. And just stepping to the side into goddess pose. Our feet are on a 45-degree angle. You can have your hands in cactus or bring them to heart center. Just sink a little bit deeper in this pose. We really want to unlock the hip and the pelvis area. And then slowly walking the feet towards each other. We're going to sit down into yogic squat. Closing down the eyes here if you want to. Elbows are pushing the knees outward. Hands to the mat. Just going to keep a slight bend in the legs as we forward fold. Maybe grabbing the ankles or holding the elbows and letting the head drop heavy. Hands to the mat. And then place the hands on the hips as we slowly stand. And you can turn to face the top of your mat or stay on the side as we come into crow pose. Elbows are pushing out on the knees. And we're just finding some balance here. Fingertips are spread wide, hands are grounded, lifting the toes and the forehead off the mat. It's a little bit challenging today on this squishy grass to find good balance, but let's meet in downward facing dog. Drop into our knees now and slowly lowering down onto our back. Tucking the knees towards the chest. And then just interlocking the fingers around the big toes. We're going to go into happy baby. Maybe rocking from side to side. Giving the back a little bit of a massage here. And taking one leg long. Just going to bend the left leg and pull it in towards the body, flexing the foot and pointing the foot 3 times. And then changing sides. Slight bend in the right leg as the left leg goes long, flexing and pointing the foot of the right foot. Changing legs. This time we'll go straight-legged. So bringing the left leg up, pointing and flexing the foot 3 times. And then the right foot, keeping the leg straight. Really want to lengthen the nerves and the muscles in this pose. And then lifting the head off the mat, squeezing each knee in towards the chest as the opposite leg goes out long. Working the abdominals here. Getting a bit more of a stretch through the hips, the hip flexors. Bringing the feet to the mat, bending the legs, and lifting the hips up, bridge pose. Arms are connecting with the mat. Taking the hips high, pushing through the legs. And slowly lowering down. Just hugging the knees towards the chest one last time. Maybe taking the knees out wide. Just taking a moment here. And then placing the feet back on the mat. We're taking the feet wide, letting them fall in towards each other as we come into our final resting pose, Shavasana. If you want to straighten the legs out, feel free to do that. Whatever's comfortable. Closing down the eyes and the mind. Just going to give you some silence and I will bring you back out of Shavasana in about 5 minutes. When you're ready, starting to bring some movement back into the body. Maybe giving it a stretch, stretching the hands, the fingers, the wrists. And then rolling onto one side. Gently pushing yourself up into seated pose. Keeping the eyes closed. Sitting nice and tall. Taking a deep breath in, bringing hands to prayer position, to our third eye. May we have kind and loving thoughts as we lower them to our lips. May we speak kind and loving words as we lower them to our heart space. May we have kind and loving intentions. Namaste.